fighting back tears while talking about the deputy and the man that Daniel Sherrer was.
Yeah, absolutely. He did talk about the man that Daniel Sherrer was, but he would not talk about the man that the suspect is. But as this story continues to develop, we've been learning new information all morning long, and we've just gotten new information, court documents confirming information about the suspect in this case, the man accused of killing Deputy Sherrer. Court documents confirm 53-year-old Brian Wilson is charged with aggravated murder after the shootout last night that killed Sherrer. According to an affidavit, Sherrer's body-worn camera shows that the deputy approached Wilson at a home near Marengo last night, responding to a domestic violence call, trying to talk to Wilson and de-escalate the situation. Now, Wilson had reportedly told a witness earlier, if I was to die tonight, I'd be okay with it. And as Sherrer approached, Wilson threatened the deputy that I will expletive kill you, and warned the deputy to go away if you want your family to see you tomorrow. Now, earlier, Sheriff John Hinton was emotional as he revealed to the media the identity of the deputy who was killed. But again, he wouldn't say much about the name of the suspect.
You will never hear his name come from my lips. So if you want the name, you will have to get it some other way. I'm not giving it to you.
Why is that?
Why would I? Why am I going to even mention his name? I'm not going to do it. So doesn't deserve it.
And I'm going to stop it right there real quick. I'm going to let you hear some more about this incident. But this actually happened 2 days ago while I was in Cincinnati. It's in Morrow County, which my brother just told me that's really a part of Cincinnati as well. But this man, Brian Wilson, whatever his name is, 53-year-old, has been identified. That is what the caption of that video says, has been identified as the man who shot and killed this deputy. But what was strange and unnerving to me was there is no photo of this man anywhere. I just recently found a photo of somebody who posted it on Facebook in this Morrow County group. Now, this happened in Morrow County, which is a part of Ohio. My man said it's kind of really close to Cincinnati. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But, of course, we all know what happened in Cincinnati earlier this month when Rodney Hinton Jr. was alleged to have ran over a deputy, and his picture was plastered over the news. The only thing you have to do is type in his name, and it will pull up all sorts of pictures from him, right? But this guy, there is no picture of him. And I found one news clip, I'm going to show you that, which did have a brief picture of him in his criminal history, but they instantly moved on. Even you heard the sheriff say right there, well, I'm not going to mention his name. I'm not going to mention his name. And when the guy asked him why, he didn't have an answer. But I'll give you the answer. But first, let me show you the picture. And this should explain the answer why they are not mentioning his name or even showing his picture. That's right. This is who it is right here. This is Brian Wilson. Brian Wilson. And this person said this is the face of a coward, a piece of scum who was responsible for the shooting and death of Deputy Daniel Sherrer, right? What a piece of S. Brian also has multiple priors of domestic and aggravated menace and disorderly conduct and others. Now, right, granted, he may be that, right? But of course, you see what complexion he is. This is a white man who has multiple priors, who actually told the deputy if he wanted to see his family again, he should move on. He should move away. Now, the reason that I am saying that they are not plastering this picture all over the news like Rodney Hinton is because even though he killed that deputy, had a shootout with him, I'm going to give you the details of the incident, had a shootout with him, their still duty is also to protect this white man as well. because they are not, as you watch all of these articles and footage, they are not focusing on the heinous crime that this guy committed. They are more focused on the sympathy of the officer, how nice of a smile he had, how jovial he was to be around with. Police stations from all across the state and county are sending in flowers and things of that nature. But they are not talking about or plastering. Once again, I'll show you him. They are not plastering this man's picture all over the internet. And so we're going to see when he does show up to court. I want to know, is he going to have hundreds of police officers in the courtroom as our dear brother Rodney Hinton had? Now, let's continue with this brief video real quick.
Now, as for the deputy, the sheriff tells us he was 31 years old. He leaves behind his mother and father, and that this was his first law enforcement job. Sheriff Hinton says his deputy always had a smile on his face, was a great guy, and says that he will be missed. Now, this is only the second death in the line of duty for a sheriff's deputy here in Morrow County. The last one came in 1940. And then behind me, you can also see a cruiser, a sheriff's department cruiser. It's decorated there. It's got the tape across the windshield and also across the sheriff's star on the side of the door there to commemorate and to memorialize Deputy Sherrer. More coming up on this story as it continues to develop. We're going to have more in about a half an hour, but for now, live on your side in Mount Gilead, I'm Tom Bosco. We're going to head over to Kirsten Lindquist, who's in Mount Gilead, talking to folks and hearing more about the deputy and how this is affecting them.
Yeah, Tom, like Terry described at the very beginning of the show, this is a very tight-knit community. When you were driving around downtown, you could already see folks lowering those flags to half staff, like we mentioned earlier, as they've ordered throughout this community. But we're actually right here behind Eight Sisters Bakery, who stopped by the sheriff's office early this morning to drop off donuts and coffee to those working at the scene where this deputy was killed. And they...
All right, I'm going to stop it right there because as you see now, they're going into the sympathy play. They're going to drop by some donuts to the officers, which I probably doubt the officers need more donuts. And, they're going to fly the flags, half staff, things of that nature, which, of course, that's to be expected in this case. But there is, once again, no focus on the animalistic character of this gentleman. Now, let me read you what actually happened. This is what actually happened. It said it all unfolded on County Road 26 in Moringa. According to an affidavit, Wilson allegedly made statements to a neighbor, including, "If I was to die tonight, I'd be okay with it." When Deputy Sherrer arrived, court documents state that through body-worn cam footage that was reviewed, Wilson was seated on his porch with a visible firearm and started making threats towards Sherrer, including, "Don't come up here and don't effing come around that corner. I will effing kill you." At one point, as Sherrer tried to de-escalate the situation, court documents state that the body-worn cam footage captured Wilson saying, "I'm not effing playing with you. Better just effing go if you want to see your family tomorrow." The encounter resulted in exchange. See, they hurry up and skip that. Well, the encounter resulted in an exchange of gunfire where Sherrer was fatally wounded. Two weapons were discovered from the scene: a Walther PK-380 caliber semi-automatic and an MP revolver bodyguard 38 caliber. In a statement, they, anguish in the community of just over 300 period, blah, 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 blah. Morrow County is 40 miles north of Columbus. Now, once again, I don't know the proximity of it to Cincinnati. But nevertheless, you got this guy, known criminal. And I'm going to show you another article about him, known criminal. Rap sheet a mile long. They send this deputy out there to see what's up. Once again, they're not telling you what the domestic abuse was about, right? So this guy gets up there, got a visible firearm. Now, that's a black man, from my experience in the videos I've seen, he was shot on sight. Remember Ryan Hinton had a gun? I'm pretty sure if this man was sitting on his porch, he got both guns pointed at the officer. It's visible. He tells the officers, don't come up here. If you come around the corner, I'm going to murk you out, basically. They said that this officer tried to de-escalate. Where is the de-escalation when black men have guns? He literally told the man, look, man, if you want to go home to your family, you better leave now. Once again, and he has guns on him. This officer didn't fear for his life, evidently he feared for his life, but it was too late. Because the white man upped the pole on him, as the people in Cincinnati would say, she upped him. That's a whole nother story. But the white man upped on him and started firing. And in the midst of that, the young man lost his life. But the strange thing was this white man was able to actually fire at an officer. And once again, I'm not saying that the officer should be dead. I'm not glorifying the man killed, but I'm just pointing out the obvious discrepancies. When it's a white man with a gun, they wanted to de-escalate and communicate, but the white man didn't want to. He wanted to shoot the officer, and he did, and he died. And so this is, once again, like I had to scour the internet for this picture. Now, there's another video. I want to play that briefly that details a little about that. It is the only video I've seen show this man. Well, hold on. Here's that video as well.
Tonight, Central Ohio mourns the loss of a Morrow County deputy. This is a picture of 31-year-old Daniel Sherrer. He was shot and killed while responding to a domestic violence call. Deputy Sherrer was a 4-year veteran of the Morrow County Sheriff's Office, and this was his first job in law enforcement. Good evening. I'm Mike McCarthy.
And I'm Jessica Ralston. We have live team coverage tonight. Tom Bosco is taking a closer look at how Deputy Sherrer is being remembered. Kirsten Lindquist shows us what neighbors say they saw and why they are in disbelief. But first, court records revealing in vivid detail the violent, volatile situation that Deputy Sherrer found himself in. Shots had already been fired before he arrived on the scene.
Today, we learned bullets struck a neighboring home and a nearby truck as well. Investigators say Deputy Sherrer then encountered armed suspect Brian Wilson. Tonight, he is charged with aggravated murder, and we are learning what led to a shootout. The deadly confrontation happened at the porch of a Marengo home. It's where court records reveal Morrow County Deputy Daniel Sherrer's body camera recorded him first interacting with armed suspect Brian Wilson after 7:30 last night. This is Wilson's picture from a 2009 arrest. Records show a neighbor warned the deputy Wilson had already fired shots Monday night and said, quote, "If I was going to die tonight, I'd be okay with it." Records also reveal details of a conversation between Wilson and the deputy, with Wilson saying, quote, "Don't come up here," and, quote, "I'm not in the expletive mood." When the deputy tried to de-escalate the situation by talking with Wilson, Wilson said, quote, "I will expletive kill you." Then going on to say, quote, "I'm not expletive playing. You better just expletive go if you want your family to see you tomorrow," and continuing to tell the deputy to leave. Then court records show Wilson approached the steps near the deputy's location and a shootout occurred. Overnight, investigators searched the yard with a metal detector and cut into a wall, tracking down shell casings and more. The court records now detail at least 2 bursts of gunfire happened, with a definitive pause between them, and the deputy's body camera recorded the sounds of multiple clicks, consistent with a trigger being pulled, but a gun striking a fired cartridge or an empty chamber.
So what they're saying is they had a shootout. This guy stood over the deputy. That's what it's looking at, and kept blasting him. blasting them, and then kept clicking after the bullets was gone. That is overkill, right? We're going to see if they're going to charge him with the death penalty. Let's continue.
Investigators found 2 guns believed to be fired by Wilson, a semi-automatic pistol and a revolver. Tonight, the Morrow County Sheriff is remembering Deputy Sherrer as a, quote, great guy.
And someone who always had a smile on his face. Tom Bosco is live at the Morrow County Sheriff's Office tonight with the legacy he leaves behind. A truly tough day out there, Tom.
Yeah, a tough and emotional day, Mike and Jessica. You know, we've seen neighbors come by. You can check out this cruiser here behind us. They've come by dropping off flowers and mementos here on this cruiser. The emotion raw and real this morning as the sheriff had to tell us that one of his deputies was killed in the line of duty.
I don't even know what to say.
Sheriff John Hinton's voice broke a number of times during a news conference as he had to reveal to the public the name of the deputy shot and killed Monday night. 31-year-old Daniel Sherrer, shot and killed responding to a domestic violence call. He was trying to de-escalate the situation with a man who appeared to be ready to die. Here's what we know about Deputy Daniel Sherrer. He leaves behind his mother and father, who live nearby. He was serving in his first law enforcement job. The sheriff says he hired Sherrer in 2021, 4 years ago, and that the deputy was positive and upbeat.
Always had a smile on his face. Never in a bad mood. He came to work every day. He loved this community. He loved the job.
Fellow deputies marked cruisers with black tape across the sheriff's star in honor of Sherrer. That as emotional neighbors began dropping off flowers.
All right, so I'm going to skip past, all of the sympathy pleas, because there's never any sympathy stories given when law enforcement kill black men in the streets, i.e. Ryan Hinton.
Now, this is the first time that a sheriff's deputy has died in the line of duty for this county here, and only the second time a law enforcement officer has died in Morrow County while doing his duties. That last time was in 1940. Sherrer's body right now is at the Montgomery County Coroner's Office in Dayton. At this point, we don't know of any plans for a procession from Dayton to Central Ohio or any funeral arrangements. Live on your side in Mount Gilead, I'm Tom Bosco, ABC 6 News.
Tom, thank you very much. The shooting also devastated what is normally a very quiet neighborhood.
Tonight, so many are in shock, saying they cannot believe this happened on their street. Kirsten Lindquist is live there tonight, and Kirsten, neighbors say they never saw this coming.
No, it's been a hard day for these neighbors, Jessica and Mike. And in fact, there's a lot of car traffic that keeps coming down this street. In fact, there was so much car traffic and police activity from last night into this morning. Neighbors tell me their kids couldn't even go to school. Now, they're also telling me that Brian Wilson, the gunman, never caused any problems before Monday night.
Nobody deserved that, and especially for the officer and his family. It's just hard.
Neighbors left in shock as a case of domestic violence leaves a Morrow County deputy dead.
And the wife was over here the whole time.
Kimberly tells me she knew Deputy Daniel Sherrer and the suspected shooter Brian Wilson. She said behavior like this was uncharacteristic of Brian. Kimberly says gunfire isn't uncommon to hear in this neighborhood, but it's never been cause for concern.
Kids are target practicing, so we hear it all the time. We did not expect to hear or see what had happened.
Another neighbor took us inside her home. A stray bullet hole from across the street now through her front window.
I still got glass down here I got to clean up.
That ricocheted off her fireplace and into her living room wall.
Just thankful we weren't here because we could have got shot.
And another bullet in her garage siding.
I think they tried to take the bullet out last night.
A tight-knit community where everyone knows each other.
Sad to hear something like this happen.
Now trying to pick up the pieces after tragedy hits their own backyard.
When you know somebody, but then you don't know the other side of them, it's rough.
Wilson was last said to be at Grant Medical Center in serious condition. The Delaware County Sheriff's Office is leading this investigation. And if you or someone you know is involved in a domestic violence situation, you are not alone, and help is available 24/7 for free. Dial 8788 at 8788. Dial start or begin to receive that domestic violence hotline help. For now, in Morrow County, live on your side, Kirsten Lindquist, ABC 6 News.
We are learning more about the suspect's past. According to court records, he has a criminal history that dates back 30 years in Marion County. In September of 1994, he was charged with assault. In August of 97, he was charged in a case of domestic violence. In June of 2003, a disorderly conduct charge. He was convicted in each of those cases. Now, this is his mugshot from February 2009, when he was charged again with domestic violence. He pleaded guilty to a lesser charge in that case.
Tonight, tributes for the fallen deputy are being shared from all across the state.
It's also serving as a reminder.
All right, so we got to stop it there, man, because, you know, they're going to go back into the tribute for the deputy. They spent about 15 seconds on that guy, right, who literally told the deputy what he was going to do to him and did it. And he's even memorialized in the article. You heard the neighbor say, well, he never did anything wrong. I wouldn't expect that of him. Must have been some kind of trauma. There's no vitriol. Even the sheriff, that was his backhanded way of not throwing the other white man under the bus because, oh, well, why should I say his name? He doesn't deserve it. No, that is their way of protecting this man. And once again, they're talking about his record from, 30 years back. This guy had a gun on his porch telling the police officer, you better go home or your family ain't going to see you tomorrow. And this police officer just walks up to you, hey, buddy, you know what I'm saying? Blah, 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 blah. Right? But let a black man even mention that he has a gun, i.e. Philando Castile, and bullets fly from white officers instantly. So can anybody explain to me, especially all the white people in the comments that try to defend police actions when it's black, why was this man allowed to live and the officer died? Because only white men are able to defend their property, and I'm not saying this as law, but as the law is interpreted. Only white men are able to defend their law, their property, and only black men are able to be shot down like dogs as soon as they mention a gun. That white man that rest his soul, that got killed, he respected that other man, that white man's right to possess a firearm and be on his porch. That's what it all boils down to me. Y'all can tell me I'm lying in the comments, but also it boils down to them protecting him as a fellow white man, even though he killed a fellow white man. They're not going, this guy called him a coward, right? But all of the reports and all the statements you hear about Rodney Hinton Jr., how much of a monster and an animal and how, heartless and gutless he is, none of those sentiments are being displayed to this guy. Only sympathy for the officer, sympathy for him, and, the domestic violence. You hear the radio lady say, if you're a victim of domestic violence, what does domestic violence have to do with the deputy getting killed by this animal, even though that's why he was called? So I just had to share this. Once again, this happened in Morrow County, Cincinnati, evidently it's in Morrow County, Ohio. Evidently it's in central Ohio. But somebody sent me to me. We're going to take, we're going to watch and see tomorrow when he goes to court, whenever he gets out of the hospital, if he makes out of the hospital. We're going to see if the courtroom is lined with deputies and intimidation factors and all that for this white man right here. But once again, this is an example of just two different systems. We're going to keep an eye on this case and much, much more. Once again, I thank y'all for watching. Y'all see the number 919-587-7782. Thank y'all for watching. Peace and blessings. Much love.